In this tutorial, I'm going to teach you all about for loops and why they're really useful. But before we do that, I'll give you a context, which is a sort of reason why we'll use for loops in programming. So the program I'm going to show you is how to demonstrate the times table of a particular number, so all the multiples of a particular number. So currently I've programmed it to give the multiples of multiples of 5, 1 and 2. So I have all the multiples of 5, the first multiple and the second multiple of 5. So what we get is 1 times 5 is 5, 2 times 5 is 10. If I wanted to output any more of them, I just need to copy and paste these lines of code. And I now type 3 times m, which is a variable with the value 5, which is an integer. And I just need to change each line. So it doesn't seem that complex to do, does it really? If we run that now, you'll see. So that string there, 3x, which is there, comma m, which is 5. So it's going to output that integer, comma equals. So we've got the equals. And then we've got another number, which obviously is the result of 3, an integer, multiplied by m, a variable which contains the integer 5. So that's what's happening there. And if you would just carry on doing this for a minute, so we can do 4xm, and we just change that to 4, run it, and you can see straight away it's outputting some numbers. Well, this is pretty good. And I can even do this. I could change m to 2, and I'm outputting the 2 times table up to 4 multiples. Okay, so all well and good, but I'm going to show you how to use a for loop to do that in a more efficient manner. So before I do anything, I'm just going to put a few bits of printing in. In fact, actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to comment this out with 3 comments on either side of it. Okay. So it's just been sort of hidden for now. If you put 3 speech marks on either side of the code, it kind of comments it out. So the computer's not going to try and execute that code. Okay, so what I'm going to do is for, and we have this counting variable inside a for loop, which you could call count or counter. You could call it sandwich if you wanted. Doesn't really matter. It's just a variable that exists for the duration of the loop. So I'm going to call this counter in range. Range, remember, being a range of numbers from 1 to 10. See what happens when we do that. We're going to put a colon at the end of that as well. So that's how you write out a basic for loop. And all I'm going to do is print counter. Alright, and if I do that now, should get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Because each time the loop runs, because that's a loop, so you go through all of the lines of code in the loop, you don't just have to have one line of code, you can have lots. Each time they're executed, it goes back to the beginning of the loop, and counter changes by 1. So it increments by 1. And then the same thing's done again, but this time counter is equal to the next number up. And I've said from 1 to 10. But obviously being a range in Python means it's not inclusive of 10. It's any number from 1 all the way up to 10, but it doesn't actually output 10. So how I output 10 as well is I could type 11 in, obviously, but I could just put +1. And that will solve the problem there. Okay, so that's what a for loop is doing. So if we can manipulate this counter each time the loop is run, we can output this kind of stuff with less code, which therefore makes your code way more efficient. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to delete this line of code and I'm going to copy one of these. And I'm just going to change, where it says 1, I'm going to change that to counter. And I'm going to put a comma there. I'm going to put counter here. So what I'm doing in effect is counter will change each time the loop is run, and each time the loop is run we're outputting this line of code. So if we just update, if counter is updating itself, this line of code will output a different multiple of m each time. So what I get is this now. And if I change it to 20 there, so from 1 to 20, I get 20 multiples of m. change m to 99 if I wanted, and I can get the 99 times table, or the first 20 multiples of the 99 times table. Okay, that's a really good application for a for loop. So it shows you how to produce a times table using a for loop. Right, we're going to go one step further now, and we're going to create a function called times table. So I'm going to scrap m for a minute. I'm going to write a function out instead. So def times table a and b. Right, so I'm going to change that 20 to a. I'm going to change m to b. Why, you ask? Well, you'll see in a minute. So this line of code now, for loop needs to be, we need a colon at the end of the function. The for loop needs to be indented underneath the function. And now I could write times table. Remember, these are called parameters. A and B are parameters. But when you call the function, you put arguments into them. The arguments are going to be the first 10 multiples of the 12 times table. So what I'm going to do now is show that. Okay. I can have a little break. And let's do it again. I'm going to show the first 20 multiples of the 5 times table. There you go, etc, etc. So I made a nice function here, and I'm calling the function, and I've got these parameters a and b. So for counter in range 1 to a, so that's how many multiples I want. It's 10 in that case when I call it, or 20 in that case when I call it, and b is the times table that I'm using. Okay, and we could keep doing that. We could do lots of different times tables. Three and 3. First 3 multiples of the 3 times table. There you go. I'm just going to do the first 5 of each. Okay, so a is a parameter, which means the highest multiple we want to go to from 1 to the highest multiple. And b is the actual number that we are providing all the multiples of. And that's how you do it. So put a for loop inside a function. I'm going to leave that there for you.